Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is currently 2:15 a.m. and I am back with another live show. How are you doing this beautiful morning? Good morning. Okay, if you're just tuning in, the time is 2:16 a.m. and today's date is the 19th of October 2024. I just want to say thank you to you guys, man, for always tuning in, for always checking up on me, and just being here, being a part of the show, being a part of the journey. We are on our way to reaching 100,000 subscribers. Can we do it? Can we do it? Can we get to 100,000 subscribers? I believe in you guys, and I believe in myself, and most importantly, I believe in God. So, you know what I mean? I know we can. All right, the title of today's show is A New Leader on the Rise. Okay, a new leader on the rise. Okay, so let's have a good time today. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Let's have a good time. Let me put a poll up. Who do you choose? All right, let me put that up. Yesterday was my daughter's birthday. We went to the aquarium. It was a wonderful feeling for me, for her mom, for her. It was just absolutely amazing because, this is our only child. And to just watch her grow, it's been a blessing from God. And I'm just happy, I'm glad, I'm grateful, I'm thankful to God that He gave me Bloom. Bloom is such a wonderful daughter, beautiful girl, awesome, the best ever. And we actually streamed it. So if you want to watch the video, last video on the live page on my channel, you would be able to see that stream. We streamed it. And it was a wonderful feeling, okay? It was a wonderful feeling. Okay. Double tap your screen. Double tap your screen. Smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. All right, without further delay, let's tune in to the first video for today. We're gonna see the OG, the 45th. Some people say he might also be the 47. He was in the studio at Fox today. Let's hear what he had to say.
We said he was going to be here, and he's just walked into the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, we should probably all stand up. Donald Trump is in the house,
Hey,
and
Mr.
here he is.
President, nice to see
Come on over.
Quick turnaround.
We've got a
Great to
place
see
for you.
That was very quick.
Yes.
Hi, Mr. President. How are you? Good to see you. Come get
Hey,
my
Mr.
job. We'll
President,
sit you right here in the
sit
middle.
right over here. I'm the official audio guy for today.
You have
Mr. President, welcome back.
you have so many jammers with you. We can't even use.
I know, we have to use these hard lines.
Let's put it right here,
I do.
like that.
Okay.
Very good.
Good job.
Wow.
All right,
Glad you're
and
here.
we'll all sit down. 3, 2, 1.
There we go.
How are you?
I'm good. This is very nice.
Big night last night.
I've never sat in the middle.
It's great,
I've
right?
always
I don't think
sat on
anyone,
It's the
no
first.
one sat in the middle.
I've never seen anybody sitting in
You've
the
got the
middle.
really good light.
This is good lighting. How do we look? Oh, not so good.
Mr. President, don't you always do that first? The biggest interview, the smallest, the first thing you look at, you grab the lights. You go, move that pole over. You come over here.
You're a producer.
Lighting is very important. No, let's turn down the lights. No, I'm only.
Well, what did you think of
Nice
last night?
room.
What did you think of last
I
night?
thought it was great. I thought, it was for the Catholic Church, really, and for a lot of good people, a lot of good causes. And unusually, she didn't show up. You would have thought she would have shown up last night. You were surprised. We were all surprised. But they told me it's only teleprompter for the comedian. I said, give me the comedian. No. I didn't get, so I had to do it sort of like, and I liked it better. I think I liked it better. But, when I went, I said, is this a teleprompter speech? And I had a pretty long speech. And they said, sir, we don't use teleprompter. Then I get up there and see the comedian using it. And he was good, too, by the way.
Jim Gaffigan's funny.
I thought he was good, yeah.
You know, Kamala Harris did not show up, as you know. She sent a video from Saturday Night Live. You know, we have seen historically a lot of Democrats, they turn to the guys at Saturday Night Live or The Tonight Show. They write all their material. Your material was real funny. Who wrote it? Who helped you with it?
Well, I've had a lot of people helping. A couple of people from Fox, actually. I shouldn't say that, but they wrote some jokes. And for the most part, I didn't like any of them. But
Should we see some highlights? I think you did great.
Go ahead.
Watch.
Roll tape.
Catholic Church, you're helping the poor, educating children, and supporting the vulnerable. But if you really wanted Vice President Harris to accept your invitation, I guess you should have told her the funds were going to bail out the looters and rioters in Minneapolis, and she would have been here, guaranteed she would have been here. Guaranteed. It's a true pleasure to be with you this evening. Amazing pleasure. And these days, it's really a pleasure anywhere in New York without a subpoena for my appearance. Anytime I don't get a subpoena, I'm very happy. But unfortunately, Governor Walz isn't here himself, but don't worry, he'll say that he was. He's going to say he was. But I have to be careful, however, to understand that this will be the first time in the history of this event where jokes will be fact-checked, and they will be. All polls are indicating I'm leading big with the Catholic vote, as I should be, But I don't think Kamala has given up yet. She hasn't. Instead of attending tonight, she's in Michigan receiving communion from Gretchen Whitmer.
That
Mr.
was funny.
President,
That was funny.
you had a balance because you got to tell these jokes, but you're sitting next to people that don't like you at all.
Chuck Schumer's
so how
right
was
there.
that?
You know, I know him very well. I guess he doesn't like, but he likes me enough. It's a little bit, it's hard to explain. You know, I gave him his first check. When he was young, I was young. It was his first check. I don't know if that good or bad, but it was the first check that he ever got. He was running for, I think, Assembly up in New York, and he got it from me. So
we should blame you for the rise of Chuck Schumer.
right.
It's all on
blame
you.
me for
Defeating Al
It
D'Amato.
was New York.
What did Mayor Adams say to you? Because he's a Democrat, you're a Republican, but you can relate because of these subpoenas.
Yeah.
Letitia James, she was in the back row.
The weaponization. No, look, I've been investigated more than Alphonse Capone, I say it. But Adams, he came out against the immigrants, you know, against the destruction of New York, frankly. He did the right thing. I said, he will be indicted within 6 months. And he was. They indicted him. Now, I don't know if it's legit. I haven't looked at it. But it seems very suspicious when he comes out against something they're doing. They're destroying the country. They are destroying our country. He was right. I go down the streets of New York. I went down the streets of New York 2 days ago, and I'm looking at migrants all over Madison Avenue, all over Fifth Avenue. I've never seen anything like it. I'll tell you, this is New York. You see empty stores. You never saw empty stores on Madison Avenue. You never see them. It's a shame. He did the right thing, but he got indicted, and they play weaponization. These are an evil group of people. These are really a bad group of people. I'm doing well with my stuff. I won in Florida. I'm winning all over the place. But, you know, what they want to do is keep them busy. Let me spend plenty of money fighting it and let them maybe. Mm-hmm. But I think so far it's backfired because the public understands. The win in Florida, that was the big case. That was the case, oh, you're going to lose. Now, he actually lost because he had documents, but he didn't have the presidential.
The documents case
yeah,
in Florida.
It was the documents case. That was, like, they say the big one. I don't know what's the big one, but the big one. And we had a very brilliant judge, a very fair judge. And I won the case. I won the whole thing. He didn't win. They said he was grossly incompetent, and based on that, they're not going to charge him. But the funny is, he can be president, but he can't go to court. They say he can't go to court because he's incompetent. So he can't go to court, so that's okay, but he's allowed to be president. So there's something wrong with our country when that happens. But I thought last night's it was
great.
I think it was terrible that she missed it because It's only been one person missed it in many years, and that's Walter Mondale, and he lost 49-1.
But let me ask you, why do you think she missed it?
God was not with him.
Mr. President, why do you think she missed it? There's a lot of theories.
Okay, I think that she's not competent. I don't want to say this kind of stuff, but we can't live with this. We're not going to be able to live with it.
So you don't think she's funny?
I don't think she's funny. I don't look, her staff, she's got 5% of her staff stayed with her, 95% quit. If that happened to me, I'd be front page of every. Nobody likes her. Nobody wants to be with her. And I only say this, I don't like even saying it, but we can't have her as a president. She's a Marxist. We're not ready for a Marxist. Do you agree with that, Angela?
I do agree with you.
I think a Marxist.
Yeah, let me ask you this.
And she's not very good, let's just face it.
Closing argument time, because we're only 2.5 weeks until the election. So this is the final, this is it. So she realized, joy, that's not working for them. So now they've changed it. Now they're ramping up their rhetoric. And when she sat down with Bret Baier, she said, talking about you, he's unstable. When she was speaking at a rally in Erie, Pennsylvania, she called you unstable and unhinged. And then in this new ad that they've rolled out, she's saying unhinged, more unstable, and unchecked. And then this caller that called into Charlemagne the God, his Breakfast Club show, this caller says, I have a sneaking suspicion that if Trump wins, he's going to use this law to put anyone that doesn't look white in camps. And I'm scared. And she says, yeah. So you've hit on a really important point. What is your response and what is your closing argument?
Well, first of all, the question is a pretty rough question because, you're giving this whole argument of this woman that I don't think she knows where she is. She's a low IQ person. She's not smart. Everyone knows that. Didn't even pass her law exam. It was a big thing. She never thought she was going to be able to pass it. If you tell me this stuff, I'll say it. I am a person that they are a threat to democracy. These people are misinformation people. They'll say, let's go out with this one. They've tried many different things. They tried, he's a dictator. He's going to take over the whole world. He's a this. Every week they try something else. So far it hasn't worked. I guess that's the attack they have for this week. It doesn't seem to be working. I am the most stable human being. Remember they said a stable genius. I am the most stable human being. I've been doing this for a long time. We had 4 years of greatness. We had the greatest economy in history. We had the greatest border. Brian, you were down there.
Absolutely.
We had a border that was the best we've ever had in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. I built 551 miles of wall, which is far more than I said I was going to build when I campaigned. I had a border where the drugs were at the lowest level, the human traffickers in women, they traffic in women. Everything was at the lowest level. I got kudos from, the Border Patrol gave me, with thousands of people, unanimous, every single one.
They endorsed you, Mr. President.
They endorsed me. What can you do better than that?
And, Mr. President, you're gaining with minorities. And, I've been going across the country to these barbershops. Yesterday, you said you wanted to go. So we went to the Bronx yesterday. Here's a little bit of what we saw at the barbershop.
You guys are the same as me. It's the same stuff. We were born the same way. I grew up in Queens and all of that. I mean, it's. I had a great father. I had a father who was a great guy. He was tough but good, big heart, big heart. And he was a construction guy, pretty much, and a real estate guy. And I learned a lot from him. He was great. But I know you people so well without knowing you. I know you so well. When I walked in here, I said, this is home territory.
So, Mr. President, we're going to play the full thing on Monday, but what was that experience like? There was so much love in the room.
It was like people that I grew up with, actually. All different types, everything perfect. The area was incredible. The traffic, there were thousands and many thousands of people standing outside this barbershop. The owner was great with the son. The son is actually the owner. He's already made that passage. But the people were fantastic. We could have stayed there for 2 hours, right? It was great.
Why do you think they're giving you a shot? They haven't voted for Republicans in years like this. So what are you doing on the ground differently that is attracting black men, Hispanic men?
I just saw a Hispanic poll where I'm at 52%. Nobody's ever seen that before. Republicans never been there before. I'm at 52%. And with black men, I'm at 32% and 31%. This is sort of throwing their formulas off a little bit. This is a little bit of a change. But look, we ran a great country. We had everything going. The world respected us. We had no wars. This group will cause us World War III. They have no idea what they're doing. And, I hate to talk that way, but we can't let this woman get in. It's two people, and she's and you talk about unstable. She's a whack job. And how about the vice president? How about Waltz? I mean, he's not qualified to be doing this. He is. I mean, you have to look at the vice president very seriously. And you compare him and J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, #1 at Yale, the whole thing. I mean, high academic. J.D. is doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, and he was with us on the yesterday, joined us from the Washington, D.C. area. One of the things about Fox and Friends, we've been doing this show for like 28 years. But one of the biggest days was the day you became president. And we actually got to do the very first interview at the White House after you were sworn in. And it was a great interview, and it made a lot of news. Ainsley asked a great question in 2017, and we're gonna get in the Wayback Machine, Mr. President. We're gonna play that for you, and then we're gonna update the question.
But you know the difference? In the old days, you never played negative ads. In other words, when I leave here, I'll then be hit by 5 or 6 ads. And in the old days, you never had Ian
Fox
Sams.
News?
Yeah. Well, in the old days. But in the old days, which wasn't so... when I leave, I'll have 12 people from Kamala on, and, pretty much unopposed. For 19 days, I don't think we should do that anymore. I think you shouldn't play negative ads. It's very tough. You do a show, and I complain all the time about it. I love complaining. I like to have everything perfect. But when I leave here, I'll have 200 people from
because they buy time on Fox.
And, by the time you do it, you say, what are you doing? It's sort of a net, net neutral. Well, we'll see what happens.
This is not an ad. This is actually, here we are in the East Room of the White House. Your president, 2017. Ainsley's got a great question for you. Watch this.
What grade would you give yourself from an A to an F?
Well, I think I know what you're going to say.
Well, let's hear it.
I think, no, I wouldn't do that. I think in terms of effort, which means something, but I give myself an A+. Okay, effort, but that's results are more important. In terms of messaging, I would give myself a C or a C+.
And that surprised us. So here we are, years later. I don't remember those young people right there.
I know.
What kind of a grade would you give yourself for the campaign thus far? You got 2.5 more weeks.
So look, I've had 3 campaigns, and I won the first one. I did much better in the second one, getting millions more votes. And this one, I can say there's more enthusiasm, and we had a lot of enthusiasm for both. I won. We got 10 to 12 million votes more the second time, which is a lot. Never happened before. I think this is the best campaign.
A for effort?
Oh, for effort.
What about for...
Nobody works
What
like
about for
me.
the message?
I think I have to go higher than an A.
It does. So what about messaging?
Well, a message, I'll have to tell you that on the 6th, I think.
All about results.
Because I don't know. I think it's all about results. I mean, the message, I think I'm saying, look, the message is we're going to do a great job. We're not going to get into wars. We're not going to have a third world war. So importantly, we're going to have a strong border. We're going to have the greatest economy. We're going to bring back the economy. We're not going to have inflation. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to get energy prices down at least 50% in 1 year.
Right.
And I'll put that on your show so you can interview me in a year if I don't do it. But we're going to bring energy prices down. That's going to bring the inflation and the costs down. Now, we're going to make this thing really good. We're going to bring a lot of companies back in to the U.S. Jobs are going to be good. Everything is going to be good. And everything was good when we had the greatest economy in the history of the country 5 years ago. Go back in. 5 years ago, we had the greatest economy in the history of the country. And now we have a horrible economy from the standpoint that inflation ruined. I had no inflation. Inflation ruined the economy, just ruined it. And I gave them inflation-free. I gave them almost no inflation. And it carried on for 2 years. And then they went out and borrowed like $7 trillion, which was so stupid to do. And when they borrowed that, it all blew up. The other thing they did is they blew up the energy policy. I had the best energy policy this country has ever had. We were energy independent. We will soon be energy independent and energy dominant. We'll be selling all over the world.
So I watched your Univision, your Univision town hall, and one thing stood out to me. They said one of the questions was, "Hey, what would you like to do again? What would you do different?" He goes, "Well, I probably wouldn't have hired some of the people I hired. So I want to just look forward." So as people have 18 days, they're going to vote, and as Jim Gaffigan said, I can't believe anybody's undecided at this point.
I know.
But let's say he votes. Can you give people? That was a great line. can you give people a vision of what your cabinet will look like? Can you throw out some of the names? Because you don't need a binder from Chris Christie or Jared Kushner. No. You know it. So can you give people out there who you're going to be making a rough... You could easily punt on this question. I hope you won't. An idea of what your team will look like.
Well, a lot of the people that you had last night will be a part of it. We had some tremendous people. In that room really had some great people.
Wait, Cardinal Dolan?
Oh, I'd put him in, right?
Right?
Honestly, and he looked good. He lost weight. He looked nice and thin. I said,
He's
"What
the
are you
nicest
doing?"
guy, isn't he?
Right? No, he's a great guy, and that's why I did it to a large. You know, by the way, he called me during COVID, and he said the Catholic Church needs billions of dollars to keep the school going, and the schools are, you know, they run great schools. And I got him the money during COVID, and I think it meant a lot to him. I think it meant a lot to the Catholic people. I got him $1.7 billion, and they had a great school system during COVID, and they kept it open.
I know I did a feature with him then. I know you're doing the weave, so you always come back. So just to the question, can you throw some names out of the people?
I thought I got out of it.
No, you told me the weave. You told me about the weave.
No, it's all about the weave. You know, sometimes I get, they say, it's either genius, it's so brilliant, I go from here, and then it being... But you always come right back to where it's supposed to be.
I just want you to complete.
Some say it's total genius. Some say, oh, well, what's going on here? No, it's pretty good, I tell you. Look, I think it's a little bit early. I have great people at every position, but I don't like talking.
Have you pre-thought it?
Like maybe every minute of every day.
You said RFK Jr.
Oh, he's going to be a part of it. You know, he
Bergen.
had a big impact because he's very much into women's health, and he's very much into the environment, which a lot of people like. People really like him. He looked good last night.
He's in very good shape.
Yeah, he is in good shape. I saw the pictures of him with the whole thing.
And you don't take your shirt off and bench press if you're not in good shape.
Oh, it's pretty good.
Hey, so you got a question?
I do it. Would you like me to do it?
I would like you to do that.
It seems that
One
we know Pennsylvania, Michigan,
Yeah.
two very important states. It looks like this might come down to Pennsylvania. Elon Musk has been there campaigning for you. Why do you think he is so vocal and such an avid supporter?
Well, he said that if we don't win, this country is finished. He actually says it. He says, you know, that they are the threat to democracy. They're all about sound bites, and these people are sick. They have people. You know, I talk about the enemy from within. What person wants to have open borders? What person wants to have men playing in women's sports? All of this stuff, it doesn't make sense. It's no good. It's horrible. But they have an open border. They're going to always have an open border. So they let 21 million people into our country. Of the 21 million, 13,000 were murderers, 13,099 to be exact. Drug deal, and this is all over the world. This isn't just South America. Drug dealers came in. Everybody's coming in. They emptied their jails from all over the world. They emptied their jails into our beautiful country. We have a problem. I mean, you know, we have to straighten it out. We have to get these people out. They empty jails from all over the world. Jails. In those jails, you have dealers, you have murderers, you have gang members. They took all their gangs in Venezuela, dumped them into the United States. You know, Venezuela crime is down 72% because their criminals are in the United States, and it's going down further.
So, Mr. President, how do you handle that? Because you're right. They're here. You see Trinidad Agua taking over apartment complex.
Read the New York Post.
Although ABC says, it's just a handful of apartment complexes. How would you like them in your
the Democrats say, well, it's not that bad. They've taken over big sections of the town with weapons that the Army doesn't.
So, Mr. President, after you get rid of the criminals, okay, you wipe out all the gangs, all the people that are raping people in this country, the sexual assault, you get rid of them in the country. You get ICE funded, and they're deported.
By the way,
how do you handle the
big
rest?
Proportion?
It is a huge proportion. How do you handle the next portion?
Okay,
the people that broke the law to come in here, but
then we start thinking. Okay, then we start thinking, because you know, look, you're talking about millions of people. You're talking about 21 million people in 3 years. Just so you know, they will let this happen. If they win the election, they're going to open up the border, and the border is going to be open for 4 years. You'll have 200 million people come in. Right. We have no idea. They tend to be not the best for a reason, because the countries send them out. The countries are not sending their best people out. I've been saying this for a long time. They're not sending their best.
Your very first speech, you said they're not sending them their best.
It's common sense, Brian. So when a country sends people out, they're not saying, hey, let's take our best people and send them to the U.S. They're sending their rapists. They're sending their murderers. We have a big country. Look at what's happening in Springfield, Ohio. Look at what's happening, though, in Aurora. Aurora is amazing.
Do you know there are many Auroras right now, but you haven't heard about them?
San Antonio, we just interviewed a man running for Congress down there, said this is happening at an apartment complex down there.
It's only going to get worse.
So let's talk about when you look at the positives.
By the way, they're destroying our country. Destroying this country.
I know they took over Randall's Island. The kids can't even play soccer. They just took over.
I looked at. I'm telling you, I drove down Madison Avenue. First time I've ever seen vacant stores, and I see migrants from foreign countries. The people that came in, they're sleeping all over the streets.
Can I get you that? When you look at your positives, obviously with men, it's through the roof. You're making gains in Hispanics, blacks. I understand that. But when the doors close and the team sits around you, they say, Mr. President, you got to do better with women. That's where where the Kamala Harris is excelling with women. Is one move to get women on your side is to get Ivanka out, Melania out, and especially Nikki Haley out in these final 18 days. Is that something that's coming out of your strategy session?
Look, I think I do very well with women, and I think it's all nonsense. I see the polls, and we do well.
What about the Nikki
You have one issue. You have the issue of abortion. Without abortion, the women love me. Now, they like me anyway because what I've done is so good. I've taken this issue out of the federal government and put it back to the states where they're voting, and I believe in exceptions, and most people do, for rape and rape, incest, life of the mother. But I've done so, and I think I've taken an issue.
So could I amend my question?
Let me just say, that issue has torn our country apart for 52 years. No legal scholar, no Democrat, Republican, no liberal, conservative wanted it to be in Congress. They wanted it to be out of the federal government. I got it out through 6 very brave judges who were also brilliant. And now they're voting. Ohio voted, and it's actually a very liberal vote. Kansas, very liberal vote. But people are voting. They wanted it to be in the states and a vote of the people. But that issue, maybe some women.
Okay.
But they're going to find.
I'm going to do a subset of that question.
Well, the country's coming together now over that. And they're getting to vote. They're actually voting on the issue.
There's a segment of the Republican Party that likes Nikki Haley, and they are reluctant to jump into your column. She wants to help. She said, if he calls me, I'm there. You guys used to be tight. In the last 18 days, will you call her and say, come out with me?
Yeah, I'll do what I have to do. But let me just tell you, Nikki Haley and I fought, and I beat her by 50, 60, 90 points. I beat her in her own state by numbers that nobody's ever been beaten by. I beat Nikki badly. I beat everyone else, too, badly. Frankly, I set records, both in speed and in the magnitude of the win. And everybody keeps saying that. They don't say get Ron, and Ron did very well. But again, I beat everybody by numbers that have never happened before. And they keep talking about Nikki. I like Nikki. Nikki, I don't think should have done what she did, and that's fine that she did it. But even in her own state, in South Carolina, where she was the governor, I beat her by a number that nobody ever heard of, by 50 points or something. And then they say, oh, when is Nikki coming back in? Nikki is in. Nikki is helping us already. But it's just, people keep saying, when are you bring? They don't say, when are you bringing this one? Everybody is in, and Nikki is already in. You know, she's out campaigning. And Elon Musk is look, I watched a rocket ship land 4 days ago.
That was stunning.
I watched a rocket ship. You talk about people. This guy is unbelievable. I was on the phone. I'm talking to somebody on the phone, and I'm half falling asleep. An important guy, but a very boring guy. And I'm like this. And the television's sort of like the sound is off. And I see this massive, like 20-story, things like 20 stories tall. And I'm looking. I thought it was a space movie or something. Yeah. Still in good shape, but it's burned to hell because it was traveling at 10,000 miles an hour. So it's like a piece of fire. And it's coming down, and I said, oh, man, that's going to crash into the gantry.
This is not good.
Right?
Right.
And I said, well, and then I see the 2 arms grab it, boom, and it's like perfect. I said, that could only be Elon. I called, he said, that was me. So think of it. This guy is campaigning. He is actually campaigning for me in Pennsylvania. Right. He thinks that my winning, and a lot of people love him. I mean, he is. You know what he did with that Starlink? How he helped North Carolina.
Yes.
It was huge.
And Georgia.
So grateful.
I mean, they had no communication.
I was there.
He had it there in record time. I called him. I said, could you do? They asked me, do I know him? Yes, I know. He gave me the nicest endorsement, really, of anybody. So having his endorsement meant a lot.
So, Mr. President, we got some viewer questions. They wanted to set it up for you. Ainsley has the first one.
Well, okay, so this is, she was watching the show yesterday, Paula. She lives in Claxton, Georgia. Yeah. And I'm sure you've heard of the Claxton Fruitcake Company, the largest fruitcake company in the world.
We get it every Christmas.
Yeah, they sell them Walmart and all kinds of Sam's store.
I want one immediately.
So she's part of the family that produces these fruitcakes, and she had a question for you. Yeah. Here's Paula.
Good morning, President Trump. My name is Paula Parker Claxton. My family owns a wholesale and retail fruitcake bakery in Claxton, Georgia. When you're elected President of the United States, what plans do you have to curb the rising cost of operating a small business, inflation, and labor costs?
I'm going to get your energy down to the lowest it's been. We're going to get it down by 50% immediately. Those ovens that you use are going to be half price. You will be so happy because I'm bringing it down with energy.
You're going to allow gas
energy, and we're going to allow gas stoves, all the gas stoves you want. That's the other thing. They're restricting all the good stuff.
Yeah.
They're restricting it. You're going to have a beautiful gas stove, and you're going to have, mark my words, your energy costs will be 50% down. That's going to bring everything else down. You're going to love Trump.
Terrific. You know, Mr. President, that event you were at last night raises millions of dollars, a lot for, Catholic schools here in the New York City area. We've got a question from Anthony in Wisconsin, a swing state, and it's about school choice. Listen to this.
I am Anthony from Appleton, Wisconsin. I have high-functioning autism, but my autism means I am only allowed to go to public schools that teach things and promote things against my values and faith. This makes life hard and confusing. When you become president, what can you and J.D. Vance do to help other students like me to have a choice of schools?
School choice.
Well, thank you very much. And it's all about school choice. That's one of the biggest things on my platform. It's about school choice, and it's also, we're going to get it out of Washington. If you look at our schools, we spend more per pupil than any other country. Norway, Sweden, Denmark, I hate to say this, China, can you believe? Top 5. They have great school programs. We are number 40, which is sort of like at the bottom of the list. We spend more per pupil than we're moving it all out of Washington, and we're going to let the states run the schools. So you give the schools to Iowa, they're going to be another Norway. It's going to be great. You give them to so many different states. Indiana, they're dying to do it. They can do it for less than half, and you will have those states competing with the best.
Get rid of the Department of Education.
It's going to go. Right. And every building in Washington, you go by, Department of Education. I'm going to have one person working there, maybe with a secretary. I don't mean a secretary.
You want it all to be local now.
Stenographer. Because we want to make sure they're teaching English, right? Let's say reading, writing, and arithmetic.
None of the books.
Not transgender. We're not going to be heavy into
about our history?
Right.
Well, and
all of that, absolutely.
Mr. President, the key about school choice is there are a lot of people who would love to be able to take the money that they put into taxes and put it into a different school. Not the public school, but the Catholic school, the private school.
Like Arizona.
Yeah.
So, Mr. President, we got a question.
And you're on board with that.
School choice is one of the most important things we're going to be doing.
Absolutely.
Because we have the worst. Think of it, out of 40, we're number 40. And yet we're number 1 when it comes to spending per pupil. Does that sound good?
Well, there's a bill that just passed the Ways and Means Committee. It could pass in your first 100 days as president. It sounds like you'd sign it.
I would sign it. Anything to do with school choice, also. Okay. But also, separate from school choice, we're going to take the Department of Education, close it. I'm going to close it. We'll have one person, could be you if you decide to retire.
Okay.
Mr. President, here's what bothers me. Here's what bothers me about that. So let's say you have a liberal city, let's Los Angeles, San Diego, and they just decide we're going to get rid of that history. We got new history. This is America built off the backs of slaves on stolen land. And that curriculum comes in.
Then we don't send them money. We would save half of our budget, and we're going to send. But if they want to do that,
because you do lose control when you go low.
No, we've lost control. We're number 40. We're last on the list. Okay. We're the worst there is, and we spend more money than. And a lot of states, look, you know what's going to happen. The states that are well run now, like, I don't want to say specifically but you take Indiana. It's so nice. No debt, everything is good. Our beautiful Iowa, right, that I win every time. Take every one of those states. So let's say out of the 50, we have close to 40 like that. Then you have the laggards run by guys like Gavin Newsom, who is, you probably won't do as well there, but there you have to watch it a little bit more.
Right.
But no, if they want to get cute, then you don't send them the money.
So, Mr. President, we got a question from my home state of Texas. This is Don. He has a question about accomplishments.
Good morning, Mr. President. My name is Don Albright. I live in Katy, Texas. My question is, what is something that you did not accomplish in your first term that you would like to accomplish in this term?
Well, you know, we had a great first term. We had the greatest economy we've ever had. We had the strongest borders we've ever had. We rebuilt the entire U.S. military. Unfortunately, they gave a lot of it to Afghanistan in one of the worst times ever. I think the biggest thing for me in terms of government is great people. I had great people. I had a lot of great, like Bob Lighthizer and Trade. We had great people. But I had a couple of clinkers that I would not want again. And I didn't know, you have to understand, I was there 17 times in my entire life. All of a sudden, I'm president. I'm saying, wait a minute. And people are recommending different people. Of the people, usually we got it right, but there were some ones that we didn't get right. I now know everybody in Washington. I think it's been enforced. I know people in Washington that nobody ever heard of.
Now you'll be the most experienced president.
I think I'll be the most experienced guy. I know the good ones, the bad ones, the dumb ones, the smart ones, the loyal ones,
right.
The people that want to...
What about the list of the dumb ones? Let's hear that.
Oh, I give you a list.
All the people that were involved.
Most of them are the people that I fired. You know, when you fire... You know, Biden has never fired anybody. Never. He should have fired a lot of generals and a lot of people for Afghanistan, as an example. I took out ISIS. I promote people. I beat ISIS. It was supposed to take 5 years. It took 1 month. I did it in 1 month. We have unbelievable generals. We have unbelievable military, but not the guys like Milley that you see on television all the time. We have great people.
Are those generals fired when you're there? Because some of the people involved with Afghanistan are still
almost
dead.
every person that speaks badly of me. Look, firing, I know a lot about firing. When you fire somebody, you can do it nicely and take a year and just, you know, not working out, blah, blah, blah. I've done that. And I've done it, get out, you're fired, get out. And I
saw that on TV.
But can I tell you, I did quite well. So I've done it always. You know, at the end, when you get fired, you get fired. It doesn't matter. You might as well just do it quickly. And then if you're famous, like me, they read a book.
Right.
Because the sleazebags come out and they offer them $1 million to write a book. And then sometimes they'll say, I want to make it good. No, we're not interested in a good book. We're only... So I end up with more books than, you know, I just end up... And I end up with... It is true. If Bush fired somebody... Nobody cares about Bush. They couldn't care less about Bush. I think you do. You like Bush.
Yeah, I do.
I'll use it. Let me use it different.
You like W? You guys get along?
He's fine. Well, yeah, but I disagreed with what he did so much. Right. I just disagreed with.
So
I disagreed with what they got us into the Middle East. We spent $10 trillion. We got nothing. So except death.
So you like kids? Here's a 10-year-old from Tennessee. He has a question for the 45th president.
President Trump, I'm Daniel, and I'm 10, and I'm from Tennessee. What was your favorite president when you were little?
Who was your favorite president when you were little?
So I liked Ronald Reagan. I thought he was... look, I didn't love his trade policy. I'm a very good trade. I've made some great trade deals for us, the USMCA. That wasn't his strength, but he had a great dignity about him, Ronald Reagan. You could say, there's our president, more than any others, really any of the others. Great presidents, well, Lincoln was probably a great president, although I've always said, why wasn't that settled? You know, I'm a guy that, it doesn't make sense. We had a civil war.
Well, half the country left before he got there.
Yeah. But you'd almost say, like, why wasn't that? As an example, Ukraine would have never happened, and Russia, if I were president. Israel would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They wanted to make a deal. I told anybody buys any oil from Iran, you're finished. You know, you can't deal with the United States. Nobody was buying oil from Iran. They wanted to make a deal. Now they have $300 billion in cash. Biden has been, and her, I don't know if she was involved in it, but she's terrible. Hey, look, remember this. She was the border czar. She never went there.
Right.
She was the border czar and the Border Patrol. The one thing you have to remember, the Border Patrol gave the strongest endorsement that anybody's ever seen. He's the best there is. There's never been. He's the greatest president, the greatest at the border. And she's terrible. That was their policy. And these guys are great, by the way. These are great. You know them very well from the show.
Oh, yeah.
We got the best endorsement. And that really says it all. And I think the border is a bigger thing than inflation and the economy. You know, I watch your polling where it says the economy and inflation at number 1, 2, and then it says, always says like the 3. I think the border is bigger. I got elected in 2016 on the border. I did a great job. I couldn't even mention it after that because nobody cared because it was fixed. We had a great border. Then they blew it, and I have to do it again. The difference is it's much worse this time because they're allowing millions of people into our country that shouldn't be here.
So, Mr. President, we got a fun one.
But we'll fix it.
We got a 6-year-old from Massachusetts, and he wants to know about your favorite animal. Let's watch.
Mr. President, my name is Briar. I'm 6 years old. I live on a farm in Massachusetts. What's your favorite farm animal?
Favorite farm animal?
What's the animal?
Well, this guy grew up in the city. I'll tell you what I love. I love cows. But if we go with Kamala, you won't have any cows anymore because you're not allowed. I don't want to ruin this kid's day. But I love cows. I think they're so cute and so beautiful and so productive. But according to Kamala, who's a radical left lunatic, you will not have any cows anymore. So we have to vote her out. If you like cows, you have to vote.
I know. Mr. President, I got a question for you. Either today or tomorrow, you're going to McDonald's. You're going to be working the fryer. Are you going to wear the paper hat?
I'm going to do everything. I tell you what.
You're going to do it.
A friend of mine owns
He is going to do it.
McDonald's someplace. Oh, I'm going. Because she lied.
You don't think she ever worked at McDonald's?
I know she did. We checked it out. Unless somebody comes up with something. We checked it out. They said she never worked here. She even picked the store. We went to the manager. The manager's been there forever. You remember her? No, she never worked here. They know. Okay.
No, so will you wear the paper hat?
And you know who else stopped talking about it? The press. If I said I worked at McDonald's and it turned out not to be true, this would be the story ever. Front page of that stupid New York Times, the worst paper. It is the worst rag. The New York Times is the worst most to say. They would have me front page for months. Nobody, I can't get any. That's why I have to do it myself. That's why I'm doing it.
So you're going to get trained and you're going to make French fries?
Well, I don't know how much the training will be.
Not too much salt.
It's not going to be.
Just not that much.
I love that salt.
So I don't know how you do it. You were at the barbershop yesterday in the Bronx. You did the Al Smith dinner last night. You probably didn't get home until 1 or 2 in the morning. And
you know what else I did?
And then you're here.
Well, I got in. Okay, this was a crazy day. We did your thing. I did 5 other things. And then on top of it, I came back and I was really, really like tight because I'm the keynote speaker at the Al Smith. So what happens is I said, let's go. I want to go. Sir, you have an interview with Tyrus. He's a large guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Is he a great guy? And he's a very smart guy.
He is great.
And he's been so good to me. And he said, listen, there's no election here. You're going to win this thing in election. And he's been saying that for a long time.
Yes.
Whenever they talk about, he's funny. And Gutfeld is great. You know, he didn't like me originally. And then he said,
well, I don't like
everything
Gutfeld,
done.
but you can like him.
Do you not like me?
No,
he's great. But he had
They're like
highest,
brothers.
he had his highest rating in the history of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're proud of him.
But Tyrus, he has a website. And he said, would you do my show? So like 2-3 weeks, I agreed. So I came home. I'm running because I'd like to at least see my speech, you know, like before I get up before all these killers. And I'm running, and Sir Tyrus is waiting for you. Oh. And I have to put on the tuxedo. In theory, white tie, but a lot of people didn't have white tie, but they had tuxedo. And I'm running in, and you know what I did? Rather than saying, Tyrus, I can't make it, I said, let's go, Tyrus, let's do a quick one. So I knocked it out. That was a
all right.
Well,
You're going to be back on the
He's great. He's a great guy.
And Mr. President, you're going to be back on the campaign. Actually, you got another event to go to. So thank you for giving us some time.
You know what the event I have now?
No.
A very big event. I'm going to see Rupert Murdoch.
Okay.
That's a big event. I don't know if he's thrilled that I say it.
Please tell him we all said thank you.
I'm going to tell him something very simple because I can't talk to anybody else about it. Don't put on negative commercials for 21 days. Don't put them. And don't put on their horrible people that come and lie. I'm going to say, Rupert, please do it this way.
Right.
And then we're going to have a victory because I think everyone wants that.
And you're going to Outkick next. It's a great channel that we have with Tyrus.
Oh, good.
There you go.
All right, Mr. President, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you for tuning in. Thank you. Double tap your screen. Let's get the likes up. Subscribe to the channel. This guy right here, man, he just does what he does. Okay, as we all know, the legendary, the 45th, some people say he might be the 47th. He had a rally in Detroit, Michigan. And it seems like some Back and forth was going on. I don't know why, but we're going to see it, okay? We're going to see it right now.
And the war in Ukraine.
According to sources, his mic was cut off. But we're going to see that right now, so let's see. Who cut the mic off? Okay. Let's listen.
And hello to Michigan. We win Michigan, we win the whole ball game. Thank you very much. I'm thrilled to be back in this incredible state with thousands and thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. Thank you very much, everybody. So I'd like to begin by asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Not even close. And our country's not better off, that I can tell you. Early mail-in voting in Michigan is now underway. So here in Detroit, early in-person voting starts tomorrow. So get the hell out and vote. You got to get out and vote. With your help, 18 days from now, we are going to win the state of Michigan. We are going to defeat Kamala Harris. And we are going to, quite simply, make America great again. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. You know, Detroit has such great potential, but Kamala and the Democrats have been wreaking havoc on this place. This very, in many respects, it's a sacred place. So many things happened in Detroit, and it's been treated so badly. And they've been talking about comebacks for so long, but we're going to bring it back better than it ever was, better than it was many, many years ago. We're going to make Detroit great again. We're going to make it great again. You know, they have been talking about it for years and years and years. For generations, this city and state were the world capital of automotive production and one of the great manufacturing centers in all of history. No matter where you went, this was the greatest in all of history. But year after year, globalist politicians like crooked Joe Biden, lying Kamala Harris, sold you out and let other countries loot, pillage, and plunder our wealth, our jobs, and our dreams. And they did that here more than any other place in our country. 40% of Michigan auto jobs were annihilated after NAFTA, and China's entry into the World Trade Organization was a disaster for your beautiful place, your beautiful city, and frankly, your beautiful state. Detroit was decimated. It's right, Detroit was decimated as if by a foreign army. There was no difference. Our factories were left in ruins, and under Kamala Harris, this year alone, the United States has lost nearly 50,000 manufacturing jobs. You know, they're doing a terrible job. Did you see her interviewed the other night? She said, essentially, yeah, I'd keep it the way Biden had it. Oh, that's great. That's great. He got out because of the way he kept it. She'll keep it the same way. U.S. car sales are down 38% since I left office. But with victory in November, we're going to take back what is ours, and it is ours. We're going to take it back, and we're going to bring back our jobs, our dignity, and our dreams. And standing before you tonight, I am proclaiming to the people of this state that by the end of my term, the entire world will be talking about the Michigan miracle and the stunning rebirth of Detroit. And this will be a real rebirth. Under the Trump administration, all who have robbed you, raided you, ransacked you, and abused you will discover very quickly America will not be taken advantage of anymore. We were taken advantage of for years, for decades. We will reclaim our stolen wealth, and the days of Detroit's economic glory will return greater and stronger than ever before. Promise. And I know how to do it. Oh, do I know how to do it. I will put Detroit first, I will put Michigan first, and I will put America first, and that's the way it is. As we speak, China was building a gigantic auto plant in Mexico. You know about that, and really more than one. Don't worry about it. I took care of it for you. Took care of it. It's already done. Without even closing the big deal, which is the presidency, I've already got it done. Of course, if she got in, she has no idea what the hell she's doing. She's grossly incompetent, worse than him. Then I cannot tell you what's going to. I can tell you they'll build the plant. I can tell you, but it's already done. They think they're going to sell all of their cars into the United States and destroy Michigan, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I promise you. No, they're building giant plants, and now they just announced something which is going to save Detroit because you would not be able to compete with this plant, the biggest in the world by far. A friend of mine builds them. He said, the biggest in the world. He wanted to show it to me. I said, no, thank you. I have other things to do. I want to see the plants built in the United States. That's the ones I want to look at. So I said to him, John, a year ago, I want to see a plant. And he said, sir, we'll have to go to Mexico. I said, I don't want to go to Mexico. I want to look at one here. He said, there's no big ones being built in the United States. I said, that's bad. I said, how big is it in Mexico? The biggest in the world. I said, so they're going to make cars and sell them in here. Kill Detroit, kill Michigan. You wouldn't have anything left. You wouldn't have anything left. So the other day I was speaking, a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking at the Economic Club of Detroit, which was nice, made a nice speech. And what happened, I saw John, who's the biggest and the best auto builder. That's what he does. He builds plants. I don't know if he can build anything else. I'm not sure he can build an apartment, but plants he's very good at. And I hadn't spoken to him in a year. He was telling me about this massive plant. And I spoke, and I explained how I'm going to put massive tariffs, very big tariffs on anybody in Mexico that's selling cars are going to hurt our business here. And I said to him, how's that plant coming along, John? And he said, sir, they just told me it's over. They're not building it. They think Trump is going to win. He's going to impose tariffs, and it's worthless. You owe me big. You owe me. You owe me. So they stopped construction. They're not building it. And Detroit will survive. But now we got to make it more. Now we're going to build the plants. So I'm going to do, sometime next week, I'm going to call the people building the plant, very big, wealthy company, which is backed by China. It's China, you know. It's China. It's in Mexico, but it's China. And I'm going to say, build your plant in the United States. We want people to build plants in the United States, employ our people. That's what we want. And if you do that, it's a whole different story. And ideally, they'll build it right here in Detroit. And we'll get Detroit moving. And others will come also. So vote Trump, and you will see a mass exodus of manufacturing jobs from Mexico to Michigan, from Shanghai to Sterling Heights, and from Beijing to right here in Detroit and other cities all across America. Because a strong auto industry will make all of Detroit richer, boosting suppliers, real estate, and your entire economy. And, you know, I've been reading about Detroit for so long, the comeback. This is the real comeback. This isn't artificial stuff. This is the real comeback. You better vote for me. So very simply, it's not overly complex. Some people don't understand it. If you watched Bloomberg the other day, you would have seen the CEO of Bloomberg interview me, and I think he understood it. And I think the Wall Street Journal now understands it. Because to me, the most beautiful word in the dictionary, it's not love, it's not respect.
Who cut my guy mic? Who cuts his mic? Bro. Who cut the mic, bro? What happened to the mic, bro? Who cut the mic? Oh my. Look, this is. Bro, what is going on? See, this is the thing. This is the thing, man. No mic is working? Oh, yeah. We ain't finna. No mic is working, bro. Yeah, this right here is unacceptable. Okay? This right here is unacceptable. Whoever was in charge of the sound needs to be, spoken with. They need to have a conversation with the sound engineer or the sound company or whoever was in charge of the sound. What's going on? No sound? And people are still screaming, bro. People are like, yo. He just knows how to entertain the people. He knows how to hold the crowd. Come on, listen to that, bro. Who did that? No sound? For how long? What? For like 20 minutes, no sound? Nah. No. See what I mean? Who cut the mic? Who cut the mic off? Was it like a sound issue, like a technical issue, or what? What was the actual problem? Why isn't there sound at a rally? The sound was working just now. What happened? Galen said he started to cook. Galen said he started to cook. And the mic went off. As soon as it started to cook, The mic went off. What is going on? This man is so strong. I mean, look at him. He's standing on the stage, walking around, keeping the crowd engaged. Yeah, this Mariah is just on another level, guys. On another level. Man, look at his face. It's starting to. It's like, yo, what are you guys doing? Why would I not have sound? This is a rally. How long was the sound off for? What? Oh man, this is unacceptable.
Hello. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you. So now what happens is I won't pay the bill for this stupid company that rented us this truck. I won't pay the bill, and then we'll have a story that Trump didn't pay the bill to a contractor. No, when they do that kind of a job, don't pay the bill. That's terrible. They also had a little problem with energy coming into the building, but I'm not blaming it on that. But here's my plan. Do we have fun? And can everybody hear perfectly now? I don't like the mic anyway. I didn't like it from the minute I started. And this is important because we're doing things here that are really going to be amazing. So let me know, and if it goes out again, I'll sue the ass off that company. We're going to sue them. Then they'll say, what a horrible guy Trump is. He's a terrible guy. Starting in January, we will give our companies the lowest taxes, the lowest energy costs, the lowest regulatory burdens, the free access to the best and biggest market on the planet, that's us, but only if they make their products here in America and hire American workers for the job. And if these companies don't make their cars and products here, then they will pay a tariff, a very stiff tariff, when they send their products into the United States for the privilege of competing with our workers and our cherished companies. We're going to protect our companies. We're not going to let them steal our companies like they have in the past. We're going to call this policy Build It in America Plan, because when foreign leaders and CEOs call me up to complain about our tariffs, my answer will be very simple. Build it in America. Very simple. And to be specific, build it in Detroit, and we'll give you good electricity. or build it in Dearborn or Lansing or Grand Rapids or Flint. The centerpiece of this plan will be a 15% made in America corporate tax rate. So we brought the rate down, and you saw this, from close to 40% to 21%, and you've already had that. Nobody thought it could be done. We got it down to 21. Now we're going to get it down to 15%, but only if they build it in America. Does that make sense? And for those who don't make their product in America, they will be forced to pay tariffs, and we will take in hundreds of billions of dollars toward our budget. We'll pay down our debt. We'll reduce your taxes still further. I gave you the largest tax cut in the history of our country. And we will take in so much money, and we will take in so many jobs, and we will be bringing, for the first time in years and years and decades, companies will be coming to us, and they'll be coming back to Detroit, and they'll love it. Some say my defense of American jobs makes me a protectionist. And yes, I will protect what is ours. I will protect our workers. I will protect our jobs. And I will protect our borders. I will protect our families. And I will protect the birthright of our children, the richest and most powerful nation on the face of the earth. These pro-worker policies are among the many reasons, and it's not protectionist, it's pro-worker. It's really not protectionist. We've had people ripping our country for years, decades, destroying. You look outside, you see all the hulks, you see the empty buildings. For years and years, they've been ripping us off. Now it's time for us to get it back. We're going to get it all back. These pro-worker policies are among the many reasons why I've been overwhelmingly endorsed by the rank-and-file membership of the Teamsters, including 62% of the Teamster members, and there are a lot of them here today. Stand up, please. Teamsters, we love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Kamala does not even pretend to have a plan to save Detroit because she knows her agenda will reduce your future to rubble. She's not going to. Her plan will drive every company, even small businesses, out of our country or out of business. It's a disaster. It is a disaster. Kamala's inflation has already cost a typical family over $30,000 in higher prices, and now she's proposing to raise the typical family's taxes by nearly $3,000 a year. So watch these two videos. Let's see if they have some electricity going to them, please. And it would be nice if the television cameras could watch them also, because they don't do that.
President, there are many different tax policies which could cripple the economy, but the first thing she wants to do is allow these Trump tax cuts to expire.
Even the New York Times admits that 85% of the middle class got a tax cut.
Americans will face a hike. The Tax Foundation finding that a couple with 2 kids making $165,000 a year would have to pay over $2,400 more in taxes.
And on day one, I will repeal that tax bill.
Joe Biden and I are about to work to get rid of that tax cut. Joe and I are about to get rid of that tax bill. Joe Biden and I are about to get rid of that tax cut.
Everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic. We've got to increase the corporate tax rate. Part of that is going to be about repealing that tax bill that they just passed. And also looking at estate taxes are going to have to go up.
We will tax capital gains.
But we're going to have to raise corporate taxes.
Taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way a stock moves to say, we're going to tax what you don't have. That's a sore point, and it's a big deal. Is that something you think she firmly believes in?
I think it's part of the proposals of the campaign.
Under my plan, there will also be a carbon fee. There has to be some connection between the fee and bad behaviors, and there has to be, and that we have to monitor whether it's going to be passed on to consumers. But I'm going to tell you that should never be the reason not to actually put a fee, and in particular, carbon fee.
Kamala Harris is going to significantly raise taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
Kamala's plan will raise families' taxes by nearly $2,600 a year. Under Kamala, prices have already soared. Now she'd make it worse with even higher taxes.
Taxes are going to have to go up?
President Trump will cut taxes again. No taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is the worst mic I've ever had in my life. This is the worst. The tax queen is also demanding a shocking 33% tax hike on all domestic production, along with the largest capital gains tax hike in the history of our country. In other words, she's going to tax your companies and you out of business. The companies are going to leave, and you're going to end up with the same mess that you've had for the last 40 years. In total, her proposals are estimated to kill almost 1 million full-time jobs. Under Kamala, who knows absolutely nothing about what we're doing, it will be economic Armageddon for Detroit. You go back further, but very simply, we're going to make it great. We're going to make it so good. You're going to have jobs coming in like never before. Under Trump, we'll turn this city into the most powerful jobs magnet in the history of the world. Upon taking office, I will immediately begin to eliminate every job-killing regulation on the books. We eliminated more than any other president in 4 years. There's never been a president that eliminated more, times 5. As a senator, this one here, Kamala. You know, I'd like to call her Harris, but nobody knows who the hell I'm talking about. You ever see that? Like, you say Harris. Who the hell is Harris? As a senator, Kamala voted to impose a 100% ban on gas-powered cars and trucks, which would kill an estimated 200,000 U.S. auto jobs.
Oh.
On day one of the Trump administration, I will terminate Kamala's insane electric vehicle mandate, and we will end the Green New scam once and for all. We will quickly become energy independent, and we will frack, 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 and drill, baby, drill. I will cut your energy prices in half within 12 months. So listen, I will cut your energy prices in half, 50%, 5-0. Cut them in half within 12 months of taking office. That's going to bring everything down. I will massively cut taxes for workers and small business, and we will also have no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors. I will make interest on car loans fully tax deductible, and they will be so. Listen to that. What will that do for the cars? Fully tax deductible interest on a car. You buy a car and you get a deduction. Wall Street called me up. They said, "How the hell did you think of that idea?" That's a good one. Because affording a car is essential to restoring the American dream, and you're going to have the American dream finally. You haven't had it in 50 years. Working with Elon Musk, is he good or what? I saw that rocket come down 3-4 days ago. That sucker was coming down. I said, oh my God, I never saw anything like it. I was on the phone with a friend. I'm talking about something. I don't know, something maybe having to do with Detroit. Could that be possible? But I'm talking on the phone, and I see the screen is on and no sound, and I'm saying, wait a minute, I have to put the phone down. I don't believe what I'm seeing. And I saw that big monster coming down, that big, it's like a 20-story building or something coming down. The engines are glowing, and they're firing and spitting. And I said, it's going to crash. It's going to crash into the gantry. Don't crash. And then you see another engine take it perfectly and lands right in the spot that it took off. I said, that must be Elon. He's the only, nobody else. It must be Elon.
So I called up Elon. I said, Elon, was that you? He goes, that was me. I say, who else can do it? Nobody. I said, can Russia do it? No. Can the U.S. do it? Meaning the U.S. outside of you? He said, no, nobody can do that. I said, you're the coolest. That's pretty. And he endorsed me a long time ago, actually, saying it's the most important election we've ever had. But working with Elon Musk, we will cut trillions of dollars in government waste. He's very good at that. He knows better than anybody. Won't affect anybody other than it'll look awfully good. And it'll help bring our country back. I want to thank also Elon for campaigning so hard in Pennsylvania. You know, he's actually feels this. Can you imagine? He just lands his biggest landing anyone's ever seen. And he leaves for Pennsylvania to campaign for me. Can you imagine that? And you know, he also, and we got to say this, I went to North Carolina, which was hit hard. Georgia, too, really hit hard. But in North Carolina, they had no communications. It was like they were an island unto themselves. And I said to the people, what can we do? He said, we have no communication. People are dying. It's a mess. They said the federal government, Washington, is doing a terrible job. Sir, do you know Elon Musk? I said, I happen to know him. He endorsed me. He said, what's the problem? He said, can you get Starlink? I said, what the hell is Starlink? And they explained it to me. I'm a fast study. It didn't take too long. So I called up Elon, and I was saying, Elon, we're in North Carolina. The people are it's devastation here. It's unbelievable. They have no communication to the mainland. It's like it cut it off. It's incredible. The water was we've never seen anything like that. I said, Elon, Starlink, it's very hard to get, by the way, because it's very successful, very hard to get. He said, can you get Starlink, a lot of those suckers, can you get them for North Carolina and parts of Georgia? And I was talking to him about it, and all of a sudden I get a call on the other line. It's the man from North Carolina. Thank you, sir, for getting the Starlink. I said, I haven't even finished my conversation. Now think of that. I said, Elon, I haven't even finished my conversation. And they're already saying, you said, that's right, I do that. I do two things at one time. I can do that. So he's great. He saved a lot of lives, I think. And by the way, the Starlink worked perfectly. As soon as it got there, it was perfect. So thank you to Elon for that. He did a great job. And if we do all of this, our flag will fly proudly once more over the gleaming new factories, and the whole world will witness Michigan's resurgence. Wealth will flood into our country and into the hands of our great workers. And that is the future that awaits for Detroit under a certain gentleman named President Donald J. Trump. Have you heard of him? It's going to be real. It's going to be real. As we rebuild our economy, we'll also restore our borders. Did you ever see anything like what's coming in through our borders? Criminals, drug dealers, prisoners, people from mental institutions. For 4 straight years, Kamala has imported an army of illegal alien gang members and migrant criminals from prisons and jails, insane asylums and mental institutions all around the world, from Venezuela to the Congo, and she's resettled them into your communities to prey upon innocent Americans. I happen to think it's the worst thing that's happened. I think it's worse than inflation. I think it's worse than a bad economy. I think it's the worst thing that happened to us. 21 million people. When I win on November 5th, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins. I have no choice. One of the deadliest and most vicious migrant gangs that Kamala has imported into our country, or to say it a little differently, Kamala, but I don't give a damn if I pronounce it right. Who the hell can pronounce it? It's the savage Venezuelan prison gang, Tren de Aragua. Do you know them? Very nice. It's a very nice group of young gentlemen. very fine people. They were gang members in Venezuela. We let them into our country. By the way, they're taking over parts of cities all over the place. But in Aurora, Colorado, and communities in all 50 states, this gang is terrorizing law-abiding citizens, including taking over multiple apartment complexes. You have to take a look at this. Take a look.
Open borders, deadly consequences.
Border crisis. Record high crossings are putting a strain on cities across America.
It is a full-blown invasion.
Armed Venezuelan gang members storming an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado.
When people talk about migrant crime, this is what they're talking about. Biden and Harris had created a program to bring them in under humanitarian parole.
I am in favor of saying that we're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been released into the United States.
My 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered in her own room. Kayla's murderer was apprehended by Border Patrol crossing illegally into the U.S.
Kayla's murderer had been improperly released into the United States.
Abolish ICE. Yeah, we need to probably think about starting from scratch.
An Afghan National is in custody today after being accused of plotting an election day terrorist attack. The suspect entered the U.S. on a special immigrant visa.
More than a dozen people suspected of being Tren de Aragua gang members right here in San Antonio.
The gang members had been terrorizing the apartment complex.
New details in the murder of Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national.
And was paroled and released into the country by the Biden administration.
Two men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder in the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
Court documents suggest a group of men arrested for beating and robbing a Dallas woman last month are members of a Venezuelan street gang.
Manuel Hernandez was booked by Colleyville police just 2 days earlier and released the day before the robbery.
Just so you know, we have the most dangerous criminals in the world in our country now. The most that we never had anything like this. These are the most dangerous criminals in the world. They make our criminals look like very nice people. That's about the only thing you can say. But they are the worst, among the worst people, and they come from all over the world. I thought it was 158 countries. Last week, they reported is 181 countries. They're coming from all over the world. They're emptying their prisons into our country, mental institutions into our country, and they're taking their street gangs and their drug dealers and terrorists are now in our country. 21 million people came in under their rule, and she was in charge of the border. She's a grossly incompetent person, and we can't let this happen. We have to get the hell out and vote and get them out of here. The United States is now an occupied country. How about that? You ever think you'd be hearing that? We're an occupied country. We're being occupied. You know, if you have a 1 million-person army, that's a big army. They've got millions and millions of people. If they just take a small percentage of them, they'd have 6 million man or woman army. Think of that. They've let these people into our country. They're emptying out the jails all over the world, the mental institutions all over the world. They're coming in. I think it's the biggest problem we have. I don't care. Deflation and inflation is all bad stuff. But this is, the polls say, the biggest problem is our economy, which stinks. The second biggest problem is inflation, which is devastating, worst we've ever had. And the third is our border. I think the border is the first biggest problem, if you want to know the truth. But November 5th, 2024 will be Liberation Day in America. And when I get rid of this microphone at the end of this speech, it's going to be Liberation Day for Donald J. Trump, because I'm blowing out my voice to get this sucker done. I'm blowing out my voice. But I'm going to get through this speech because you're from Detroit. We're going to turn this place around. We're going to make sure that electric current comes into it like it should. Liberation of Donald Trump. Good night, folks. That's terrible. But I think it's okay. I mean, you can hear. If I scream like hell into the mic, I think, good for you, not so good for me. But that's okay. That's what my life has been about for the last 10 years, and that's good because we love you. We're going to turn it all around for you. Under Kamala Harris, 13,099 illegal aliens, convicted murderers are on the loose in the United States. Immediately upon taking the oath of office, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history. Have no choice. We have no choice. I will rescue every town across America that's been invaded and conquered, and I will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in jail or kick them the hell out of our country, which is my number one choice. To expedite removals of the Tren de Aragua gangs and other savage gangs like MS-13, which is just as bad. We have by the thousands now. I took them out by the thousands, and they now are coming back in by the thousands. These people, what they've done to our country, I can't even believe it. I can't even believe it. I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. That's where we had to go. To target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. We will call it Operation Aurora. We want to pay tribute to Aurora, Colorado. The governor there is a radical left Democrat. He is petrified. I just don't want to walk out of his mansion. And if they come back into our country, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. So we keep them out. And I am hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer. Kamala's migrant invasion is also devastating our great African-American community, stealing American jobs, crushing wages, undercutting the voting power of our own citizens, and bringing drugs, crime, and death to our country. You know, we're devastating the African-American population. They're taking their jobs. It's terrible. It's terrible. And also Hispanic. They're taking a lot of Hispanic jobs. And the jobs created by Biden are all being taken by people coming into the country illegally. So, you know, it's terrible. Yet Kamala says there is nothing she would do differently. Listen to this. She'll do nothing differently.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
I stood there on the tarmac watching you check your watch.
The chaotic and deadly U.S. evacuation from Afghanistan stunned Americans and the world and cost the lives of 13 U.S. soldiers.
Would you have done something differently?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
More than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder have been caught at the border and then released into the United States.
An Afghan National is in custody today after being accused of plotting an election day terrorist attack. The suspect entered the U.S. on a special immigrant visa.
Gut-wrenching new details in the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The illegal immigrant suspect, who cops say committed the heinous murder, is a Venezuelan national who crossed the unsecured southern border back in 2022.
Two men investigators say are in the country illegally from Venezuela are charged with capital murder in the death of Jocelyn Nungaray.
A fifth illegal immigrant accused of attacking two New York City police officers over the weekend showed no remorse or regret.
Would Would you have done something differently?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Only 18% say the economy is in excellent or good condition.
US inflation has hit a new 40-year high, increasing by 9.1% over the financial year.
The cost of homes have spiked. Home buyers need to earn 80% more than they did in 2020 to afford a house.
Were you the last person in the room?
Yes.
You know, she destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California along with Gavin Newsom. Destroyed it. Did you say when Newsom said that you're not allowed to even ask for voter ID? If anybody asks somebody for voter ID, it's considered a crime. You know why? Because they want to cheat. There's only one reason why. We want to be very careful. Detroit, if you want to end this disaster, you must get out and vote. You have to get out and vote right now. And with that, I'd like to acknowledge some of our great friends. And he just spoke, so I don't want to have to waste his time, but he did just speak, and he's great. He's one of our really true leaders in this country. We're all lucky to have him running for the Senate. Mike Rogers. Where's Mike? Mike, thank you, man. And I don't want him to get up and use this crappy microphone that they sent. I don't want him to do that. I want to keep him good and healthy. Unlike Trump, I want him to have his voice tomorrow. When I get up tomorrow and I can't speak, I'm going to say Detroit did it to me, but that's... We're also pleased to be joined by a future star and really a current star. He's a great guy. He's a friend of mine. Congressman, do you know who he is? Byron Donalds. Congressman Donalds, thank you. Thank you, Byron. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. Thank you very much, Byron. Michigan House Republican leader Matt Hall. Matt. Thank you, Matt. How are we doing here, Matt? We doing good? Gonna win, I hope. We gotta win. So far, we're winning. And Senate Republican leader Eric Nesbitt. Thank you, Eric. A man, thank you very much, Eric. A man that I said, you gotta do this, you gotta do it. He wasn't sure if he wanted to, you know, he had a great career. I said, I'm sorry, Pete Hoekstra. You got to do it. You got to become the GOP chairman. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra. Thank you, Pete. Great job. So, Pete, are we going to win? How are we doing? Thus far, I hear, like, way above projection. We're not even talking about polls anymore. These are way above projection. A man who is probably more knowledgeable about auto workers for Trump and auto workers, period, and who knows exactly what we're doing. He's a member of the union, but he's not happy with what they're doing, with the whole thing, what they're doing. You know, they've lost a lot of jobs over the last few months, and it's going to continue until you have no jobs in this country. We're not going to let it happen. We are going to have more jobs, and it's going to be more powerful as an automobile capital than it was in its heyday 60 years, 70 years ago. It's going to happen. It's going to happen fast. Brian, stand up. Pannebecker, Brian Pannebecker. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian. And Dr. Masad Boulos, great friend of mine, and Michael Boulos, my son-in-law. He's a wonderful young man. Stand up, please. That's good. That's good. He got lucky. He married Tiffany. And they're having a baby, a beautiful little baby. We also have a man highly respected in Michigan, Imam Husseini. Imam, please, wherever you may be, stand up. Thank you. Thank you very much. Great. Thank you very much. Great honor to have you. And we have a guy, I made so much money with this guy. He was brutal. He was a brutal man. Happened to come from a place called Detroit, or as they say, Detroit. He says, I come from Detroit, which is cool as hell if you're the hitman, Tommy Hearns. The hitman. Tommy, come up here, Tommy. Come up, come. Come up here. Tommy the hitman. We love Tommy. I won so much money betting on this guy. He was brutal. We love that. Look at him. He still looks good. He still looks good. Wow. They have to take down. You know, Secret Service has got a little, I don't know, is there such a thing as over? But Tommy's going to have to cross about 9 gates. I don't think so, Tommy. About 25 years ago, he would have just hopped over him. Hey, Tommy, you still good, huh? You think I could take you now in a fight right now? No, I don't think so. I don't think, look at him, he wants to, oh no, he wants to fight. Oh. Tommy the Hitman. Man, oh man. Some of the greatest fights in history. Oh, look, he wants to come up. We should have him up, right? Come on, Tommy. Man, oh man. I saw him in the audience. I said, we got to get. I see a lot of people in the audience. I'm not bringing them up. Come on, Tommy. One of the greatest fighters of all time, and man, I'll tell you what, he was something special. And thank you, Tommy.
I mean, look
and
at
he
this
looks
guy,
great,
bro.
doesn't he? He looks great.
No, hear no nice words come from you, man. It's got to be real. It's got to be real. Because I myself, I never thought I was a great fighter, but I thought I did a pretty good job. But hearing come from you, though, I'm excited. I'm very excited.
Ah, that's great.
I want to fight now.
Man, he fight. He was a natural. He had the greatest. He had hips a little bit smaller than mine. He had shoulders a little bit larger than mine. See, he went in the right proportion. That's the way it's supposed to be, right? Thank you, Tommy. They love him in Detroit, right? They love him in Detroit. Another man that they love in Detroit is a rapper, and he's one of the hottest in the world, actually. Trick Trick. Where's Trick Trick? Trick Trick. Come here, Trick Trick. Come here. Maybe we should have him do a little rapping or something, huh? Come here, look at him. He looks good. He looks good. You look good. Do a little rap if you want. Have a little fun. You'll have fun.
What up, though, Detroit? If y'all know about Trick Trick, y'all know I'm about bringing it all to Detroit. So please welcome the 47th President of the United States as we make Detroit great again.
Thank you very much. That's great. You have some great people here, I tell you. This is a great place. We're going to really we're going to make it great again, like the country. And we did it, and then we have to do it again because they blew it. They blew it to hell. But we're going to do it again. Thank you, Trick Trick. Here are some of the facts on Kamala Harris. You know, after talking to the hitman and Trick Trick, it seems sort of boring getting back into Kamala, but that's what we got to do. We got to save our country, right? Mr. Wall, stand up, please. guy's great. You know, he's a wealthy guy. He made a lot of money. He comes to, how many would you say you're at? 350 or something? He's got a lot. This guy's got lots of cash. And I love his, someday I'm going to wear one of them to a rally. I think it would be well received because we built 571 miles of wall. We had it made, we were going to build another 200 miles of wall. And then they decided to sell it for 5 cents on the dollar. But we're going to get it done. We built much more than I said I was going to build. And we had the safest border in the history of our country. By the way, my all-time favorite graph. Can we put it up? That's my all-time favorite. Illegal immigration saved my life, if you think about it. But that arrow in the bottom, that's when I left office. That was the lowest point of illegal immigration. That included drugs and so many other things. It was just everything. But it was also, you know, they dealt with so many different elements of different forms of crime, the people that were coming in. And look what happened after that. Look at that. So that was me. That was me, and the last day, and then you look, it was like a rocket ship. It was like Elon Musk sent a rocket ship up, and that was loaded up with criminals of the worst kind, and that's what we have now in our country. And it's worse than that because that one, I want to keep it just the way it was. I'm not going to change it at all. But the numbers on the right, they continue for a long time. It's just an amazing thing. But we love that piece of paper. We love that chart more than any. I sleep with it. I kiss it every night. I do have that throbbing feeling in my right ear. Throbbing feel, but that's okay. That's great. Thank you very much. So that was the best in history. That was the best in recorded history anyway. That was the lowest. It was the day I left office. They had human trafficking at a level, the lowest level. Now it's about 12 times higher. And they traffic in women. They traffic, in children, but they traffic in women more than any other thing. It's a horrible, you wouldn't even believe it could be possible. So thank you very much. I just wanted to see if you had that. I looked to the right and a lot of things happened. And you know, we went to Butler a few weeks ago and we had a celebration. 101,000 people showed up. 101,000, Butler, Pennsylvania, 101,000 people showed up. And it was a beautiful tribute to Corey, the great firefighter. He was a great guy, a big Trump fan. And two other wonderful gentlemen were really hurt badly. They thought they were not going to make it, and the doctors did an unbelievable job, and they're getting better and better and better. But that's a rough thing. That was some evening, I will tell you. But what was really some, and we had an opera singer that was so incredible, right? We had an opera singer that was incredible. We had the bells of Notre Dame. Now, they were recorded. We tried bringing them over, but they wouldn't let us do that. But we had a moment of silence, then the bells rang, and then the opera singer sang, and we had Ave Maria by Pavarotti. We had a whole night. It was an unbelievable tribute. It was a tribute to him, 101,000 people. Kamala Harris is a radical left Marxist, rated even worse than Bernie Sanders and even worse than Pocahontas. Does anyone know Pocahontas? The great Pocahontas, they said, you should never use that term. Please apologize. I said, I'd like to apologize to the real Pocahontas for... Kamala destroyed our border. She destroyed our economy. She was an original creator of defund the police movement. Anybody that wants to defund the police, even for one day, we don't want them. They're not worthy of being the president of the United States. If you have that ideology, and she does, she's a Marxist, communist, fascist, anything you want. Remember I said, we will never be a socialist country. Remember I said that in a state? We will not be a socialist country. And I was right. We skipped socialism. We went down to communism. So I was right. I like to be right. I was right for the wrong reasons, right? Kamala Harris vowed to abolish ICE. These are the greatest people. They're tough, they're smart, and they love our country, and they take people out that nobody else wants to touch. I have some friends in the front row. They're very tough. They're not doing it. They said, we'll pass. And she wants to get rid of them. She wants to get rid of ICE. She wants to ban fracking, and as California Attorney General, she redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person as nonviolent crimes. She pledged, think of that, she pledged to confiscate your guns. Would anybody like to give up their guns? She wants to confiscate. You feel a little safer when you have all these criminals. Think of it. They allow hundreds of thousands of prisoners to come into our country. Some are murderers, some are drug dealers. They come in and then they say, by the way, we're taking away your guns also, right? They don't go, would anybody like to volunteer to give up your guns? Please raise your hand. Oh, we have one guy. I have a feeling he won't be doing it when they... Nah, thank you very much. Good. Thank you. Sit down. That's enough. That's enough. He's our friend, but that's enough. And endorsed a total ban on handgun ownership. She wants to endorse a ban, a big one. She already did. She even called for free sex changes for illegal aliens in detention. How about that one? And most importantly of all, she lied about working at McDonald's. That's like not a big thing, but can I be honest with you? It's terrible. But there is a video, you know, we talk about woke, and they want to take us woke. And we have a video that I think you'll enjoy. It's about when we won 2 world wars, when we were although we did defeat ISIS in about 4 weeks, I will tell you, we have a great military. But I think you'll enjoy this, the way it used to be and the way it is right now.
You little scumbag! I got your name! I got your ass! You will not laugh! You will not cry!
Remember that? We won plenty of others, and we defeated ISIS so rapidly nobody can believe it. In a matter of weeks, they said it was going to take 5 years. We did it in a matter of weeks. In conclusion, with your vote this November, we are going to fire Kamala, and we are going to save America. We will teach our children to love our country, honor our history, and always cherish our great American flag. We will cut your taxes, crush inflation, slash your prices, raise your wages, and create the greatest job boom the world has ever seen. We're going to do that very easily, very easily. We will hire American, buy American, build American, grow American, and show the whole world that the American dream is back, bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. I will stop the... Absolutely, darling. And I will stop the global theft of American jobs and turn the U.S. into the manufacturing superpower of the world. I will end the war in Ukraine immediately. I will get it done while I'm President-elect. Stop the chaos in the Middle East and prevent World War III. We are very close to World War III. We are very, very close to World War III because we have incompetent people. Ukraine would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. It was caused by their stupid energy policy. None of this stuff would have happened. And we wouldn't have had that horrible situation in Afghanistan, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. 13 dead soldiers, many people dead, many people and soldiers just devastated, loss of legs and arms. All of that wouldn't have happened. And of course, we gave them tens of billions of dollars worth of brand new military equipment that I bought and they gave it away to the Taliban. I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. And because of that, Putin said, this is a paper tiger. I'm going to go into Ukraine, but he would have never done it if I were president. And even the Democrats admit that, frankly. I will crush violent crime and give our police the support, protection, resources, and respect that they so dearly deserve. We will strengthen and modernize our military. You know, I rebuilt our military. We rebuilt our military, but we're going to bring it to a next step. We will build a missile defense shield, all made in the USA. A lot of it made right here. And we will put the stars and stripes on the surface of Mars, and maybe with the help of Elon, we'll get it done quickly. We will rebuild our cities, including our capital in Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful again. We will, remember this one, we will get critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools. It'll be gone. And we will keep men out of women's sports. I will defend religious liberty, your right to free speech, and the right to keep and bear arms. We will do that. Second Amendment. After years and years of building up other countries, we will protect our borders, defend our families, and protect our American suburbs, cities, and towns like never before. We will end sanctuary cities, and we will stop illegal immigration once and for all. We will put American citizens first. We will put American citizens first, American children first, American patients first, American taxpayers first, American workers first, and American communities first. And we will put communists, Marxists, and fascists last, if that's okay. And they will always be last. They will never make a comeback. They're getting very close. We got to win this election or they're going to be there. They're going to be there. We will not be invaded. We will not be occupied. We will not be conquered. And we will be a strong, proud, and free nation once again. We will defend our civilization, reclaim our sovereignty, and I will give you back your freedom, your future, and your life. Everyone will prosper. Every family will thrive. And every day will be filled with opportunity and hope. But for that to happen, we must defeat Kamala Harris and stop her radical left agenda once and for all. We want a landslide, and it looks like that could be happening. Too big to risk. Early voting is underway, so get everyone you know and go out and vote. Go tomorrow. It's just starting. Go and vote. Make sure you vote and bring all our friends that want to vote for us. Tell them, Jill, get your fat husband off the couch. Get that fat pig off the couch. Tell him to go and vote for Trump. He's going to save our country. Get that guy the hell off her. Get him up, Jill. Slap him around. Get him up. Get him up, Jill. We want him off the couch to get out and vote. Bring your friends and get them out. After all we have been through together, we stand on the verge. And this is true. I really believe this. We're on the verge of the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. With your help from now until Election Day, we're talking about 19 days. 19. We will redeem America's promise, and we will take back the nation that we love. We have to take it back because we've lost it. We've lost it. Nothing will sway us. Nothing will slow us, and no one will stop us. We will press forward to our magnificent American destiny, and together we will fight, 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 and vote, 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 and we will win, win, win. We're going to win, win, win. And November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country, and together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you to everybody that tuned in. Double tap your screen, subscribe to the channel. This is the thing. If you pay bills, if you pay utility bills, electricity bills, rent, if you buy groceries, if you buy gas, there is no question that the prices have gone up. So I got a 5-year-old daughter. She just turned 5 yesterday. I got 2 girls in my household that I am responsible for. I do not care about identity or color or all that stuff. Okay. I just care about performance. I care about who can get the job done. During this guy's term, we had affordability. Things were affordable. Okay. Things were affordable. Look, don't be talking like the former president, the 44th president. You remember what the 44th said to African American men? You see the way he spoke to African American men, like, if you don't vote for Kamala, then you ain't, like, come on, man. That's not gonna work. We are educated and we just want affordability. We got responsibility. Okay, we got responsibility that are counting on us. We got people who are counting on us. Okay, so that ain't gonna work.
Kamala Harris campaign. If you think about their plans, if you think about their slogan.
All right, so like I always say, JD Vance, he is the new star in the Republican Party. There's no doubt. 2028, 2032 is definitely going to be a big deal for JD Vance. 100%. So you better get used to JD Vance, bro. He is articulate, full calm. In my opinion, he has a bright future. Very, very soon coming up. This guy right here.
Slogans, because they don't really actually have any details. Maybe we should change the slogan of the Kamala Harris campaign to "Nothing Comes to Mind," because I think that would capture the Kamala Harris campaign better than what they're saying right now. So let's try it out. You know, Kamala Harris, how are you going to lower the price of groceries for American citizens? Nothing comes to mind. Kamala Harris, how are you going to secure the border that you opened for 3.5 years? Nothing comes to mind. Think about it. I think we may have just saved the Kamala Harris campaign because at least she'll be honest if she just goes out there and says to every question, nothing comes to mind. That would be honest. That would at least solve that one problem for her. But look, we need a president who actually has ideas and a plan and a vision for how to solve this country's problems. So let's just compare and contrast the record of Kamala Harris and the record of Donald Trump, where she did 94 executive orders to open up the American southern border. Donald Trump shut down that southern border, built the wall, and secured America for American citizens. That's a hell of a record to run on. Where Kamala Harris had groceries up by 25% and housing up by 40%, Donald Trump made it affordable to live the American dream for American citizens. Where Kamala Harris wants to raise taxes on American workers and reward companies that ship jobs overseas, Donald Trump wants to cut taxes for American workers and penalize the companies and the countries that are shipping our jobs overseas. And of course, where Kamala Harris has implemented regulation after regulation, she shut down the Keystone Pipeline. Donald Trump is going to reopen that pipeline and open up American energy for all of our citizens. And you know, she's got a problem. Kamala Harris has got a problem because the words have not matched the deeds, and a lot of folks who used to be the foundation of the Democratic Party are abandoning the Democratic Party in big numbers, especially in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Now, a lot of you know my story. I was raised by two blue-collar Democrats, my grandparents who took care of me because my own mom struggled with addiction. But I think my grandparents, if they were alive today, they would be doing what a lot of other Union Democrats are doing, which is recognizing that the Democratic Party of Kamala Harris has left them behind, and they are welcome in the Republican Party of Donald J. Trump. That's why, my friends, and I'm proud about this, over 65% of Pennsylvania Teamsters support Donald J. Trump for president. And that's why union workers, non-union workers, but pretty much just everybody with common sense is welcome in the big tent Republican Party of Donald Trump. I don't care what letters next to your name, you're welcome in our movement. Now, I want to talk just about, somebody asked me earlier why we think we have so much division in the United States of America. I think it's an important, it's an important question, because I think, look, whoever they vote for, whatever their background, I genuinely do think most of our fellow citizens are good people. Whether Democrat, Independent, or Republican, they're our neighbors, they're our friends, But here's, when Kamala Harris talks about division, she likes to blame the Republicans in our country for being the source of that division. And I'm thinking to myself, well, where is the leadership of this country? If you've been the vice president for 3.5 years, maybe the divisiveness in this country is something you ought to look in the mirror about rather than blame Republicans all over the United States of America. But I also think that one of the biggest sources of division in the United States of America is that we have leaders who would rather censor their fellow citizens than listen to them and persuade them. And this is an important thing that's changed about this country. And I want you to go back, my friends, to just a few weeks ago. I pointed out that there's a small town in Ohio, and of course there's Charleroi, Pennsylvania. There's what's going on in Aurora, Colorado. We are seeing all across this country that criminal gangs sometimes are moving into our communities and making it unsafe for American citizens. And even if it's not criminal gangs, sometimes it's just people moving into our communities who have no legal right to be there in the first place. Now that causes a lot of problems, especially for the folks who are watching this at home. When we add thousands upon thousands of children of illegal aliens to Pennsylvania schools, children who can't even speak the local language, that means American citizens lose quality in their education. When we bring in millions upon millions of illegal aliens and give them free health care, that means hospital wait times in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania have shot up for Pennsylvania families. I feel terrible for anybody who's got to take their kid to the emergency room because you're going to wait longer than 3 hours because there are millions of people in the United States of America who don't have the legal right to be here. And here's the thing, Kamala Harris and her friends in the media, they will say that somehow Donald Trump doesn't support Social Security and Medicare. Donald Trump is fighting to protect Social Security and Medicare every single day. But I'll tell you what is going to bankrupt Social Security and Medicare, and that's Kamala Harris's plan to give Social Security and Medicare to illegal aliens who have no right to be here in the first place. So while Kamala Harris wants to roll out the red carpet for illegal aliens and give them Medicare and Social Security, the message of Donald J. Trump to people who are in this country illegally is simple. Pack your bags, because in 4 months you're going back home. But it's not just that I disagree with Kamala Harris on the policy of immigration. You know what really gets me going is when Kamala Harris attacks the citizens of her own country as racist for daring to say that she should not have opened up the southern border. I think it's one of the most disgraceful things. So I think our message to Kamala Harris ought to be very simple. Stop trying to censor us for criticizing your government. Stop calling us racist for saying that we got to close down that southern border. Stop accusing us of being bad people because we have the audacity to say to Kamala Harris that she ought to do her damn job. She needs to look in the mirror and stop attacking the citizens of her own country. And I think that is what has led to the divisiveness in our country. Because Donald Trump, whether we agree with you or disagree with you, whether you vote for us in 2024 or don't, we're rooting for you because you're our fellow citizens, and we will always fight for your right to speak your mind. Our founders, the genius of the First Amendment is not just that it protects everybody's rights. The genius of the First Amendment is that when we debate our ideas, rather than censor one another, we can actually come to the table, we can disagree, but still share a meal with one another afterwards. And we ought to... And we ought to remember that while Kamala Harris and Tim Walz talk a big game about bringing our country together, you do not bring our fellow citizens together by trying to silence them. You bring our fellow citizens together by talking with them and inviting the conversation about how we're going to make this country better and fix our problems. That is what Donald Trump and I promise you and promise everybody who's watching. We may not always agree with one another, but we will fight for your right to speak your mind because this is America and we get to say whatever the hell we want to. Thank you all. Thank you all. Sorry, I got a little fired up there, but I want to say one more thing, and then we'll take a few questions from reporters. And you guys are welcome to stay and watch me as I answer these questions. But I want to remind you that as much as the energy is really good in Pennsylvania, and we've got a lot of good energy in Pennsylvania, I think we're going to win this state, and we're going to win it in a big way. And by the way, we're not just winning Pennsylvania just for President Trump and J.D. Vance. We're winning Pennsylvania for Dave McCormick, who's running for the Senate. Let's get out there and support him. And for a lot of our great congressional candidates, and I know we've got great state candidates running too, but we're not going to do it unless we get out there and vote. So I want to make three requests of every single person in this room. Number one, first thing I'd like you to do is take out your phone, take it out right now, take a photo of this event, take a photo, take a selfie, take a photo of me, whatever. Post about it on social media or send it to your friends in text message. Tell them why you're voting for Donald Trump and remind them that we've all got to get out there and vote on or before November the 5th, okay? And that brings me to my second point. Look, I am not a fan, I'll be honest with you, of election season over election day. But Donald Trump has said this very well, it is what it is. And we've got to take advantage of all the methods that we can to vote because if we're not doing it, we're giving ground to the other side. So vote by absentee if you're not going to be in town. Vote by mail if that's what you want to do. Vote early if that's what you want to do. Vote election day. Just make sure you get out there and vote. But I believe that we've done more in the last few years on election integrity at the Republican National Convention. So rest assured, we are fighting every single day that your vote is going to count, but only if you get out there and actually cast it. So everybody, make sure you get out there and vote. Two more requests here. The third thing is I don't want just you to vote. I want everybody to get out there and get 9 of their friends and family to the polls too. Because if you do that, look, Pennsylvania could be decided by a couple thousand votes. And none of us want to wake up on November the 6th, this is nightmare fuel, with the idea of a president-elect Kamala Harris. So if you want to prevent that, don't just get yourself to the polls, get your friends and family out there too. Every single one of us commit 9 people in addition to yourselves to get out there and vote. And this is the final thing I want to say. I'm going to read this website because I want to make sure I get it right. SwampTheVoteUSA.com, okay? And I'm going to repeat it again, SwampTheVoteUSA.com. At that website, you can find information about where to register, check your registration, check your polling location, make sure that if you've requested an absentee ballot, you can know how to track it. Because we're not going to win this election off the lies of the corporate media and the Kamala Harris campaign. We're going to win this election by working our rear ends off for it and getting out there and voting. So swampthevoteusa.com, go to that website, check your registration, and make sure we all get out there and vote. Look, I think, man, we're 19 days out, and I'm feeling good about this election. I really think that we're in a position not just to elect Donald Trump the next president, but to take this country back in a very, very big and meaningful way. So let's do it. So I'm grateful to all of you for being here. I'm grateful for what you've already done, but most of all, I'm grateful that we're all going to work our butts off for the next 19 days and make Donald Trump the next president of the United States. God bless you all. Thank you for having me. I'll take some questions from the reporters now. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you all so much, but we're not done yet. We'll have a little bit more fun, but I'd ask that we start with the local reporters. I'll probably take 4 or so questions just because we've got to get on the road, but let's start. First question, I don't know if we got a microphone back there. I assume we do. Oh, and I love Jesus. Thank you, ma'am. It's always good to have that reminder. Jesus does love every single one of us, and that's an important thing. God bless you. First question.
All right. Hi, Senator. Excuse me. Hi, Senator Vance. My name's Stephen Moore. I'm from WTRF Channel 7 in wild and wonderful Wheeling, West Virginia.
There we go.
All right. Now, the U.S. labor force participation rate is historically low, among young men in particular. There are a lot of reasons for this, from drug addiction, lack of education, mental health problems. How does this administration plan to address this issue and get our young people back to work so they can start families, buy homes, and participate in the American dream?
Yes, sir, a very important question, and the most important way to get people back into the labor force is to make sure that we've got good jobs and the dollar goes far enough to support a family in this country. If you want to get people back to work, you've got to make sure that when they earn a dollar, first of all, they get to keep as much of it as possible, which is why we want to lower folks' taxes. But second of all, a lot of people are not going to choose to work if they work 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, and they can't afford food, they can't afford to buy a house. This inflation that we've experienced under Kamala Harris's leadership, we've got to make the dollar worth a dollar again, and that's something Donald Trump and I are going to fight for every single day. Now, a second thing that we've got to do is that we've got to promote more pathways in this country to the middle class. When I was growing up, what everybody told me, all my guidance counselors, all my teachers, they told everybody, you got to go to college, you got to go to college, you got to go to college. Well, here's the thing. Now we're waking up and we realize we've got way too many basket weavers with a 4-year college degree, but we don't have enough electricians, enough welders, enough people who can build things in this country, and that's got to change. So we want to make it easier. If you, whatever you want to do, if you want to go be a doctor, go be a doctor. But if you want to work with your hands and build something in the greatest country in the history of the world, we've got to make sure there are pathways available for people who want to do that. And I think that's how we get people back engaged with the workforce, is we give them the training for the kind of jobs that they want to do. It's going to make our whole country better in the process. Thank you for the question.
Good afternoon, Nicole Ford here with WPXI in Pittsburgh. When it comes to Pennsylvania, which county are you going to look at the margins first to know that you have won this state?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I mean, look, I'm a political candidate. I'm not much of a political prognosticator. The only prognostication I'll make is that Pennsylvania is going to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States. I really do believe that. But look, I mean, the smart people who know this state will tell you, you got to look at Bucks County in the east. You got to look at, of course, Erie County in the west. There are a couple of really important counties that we're going to be paying attention to. But look, if you look at this, my friends, is why I'm so excited and why I'm so optimistic about this race. If you look at the early voting numbers, if you look at how much redder Pennsylvania has gotten in just the last couple of years, we are going to win this race so long as we work for it over the next 19 days. I really do believe that. But let me say the final point I want to make about this is the reason why I think President Trump's message resonates so well in Pennsylvania, more frankly than Republicans did from 20 years ago, is that President Trump believes in making things in America and stamping more products with the incredible label, Made in the USA. And the only way, look, Pennsylvania has some of the proudest tradition of steel manufacturing, of craftsmanship in the entire country, frankly, in the entire world, but we have gotten way too far away from self-reliance in the United States of America. Let me give you a statistic that scares the hell out of me, and it should scare every person in Pennsylvania. China has 32% of world manufacturing GDP. That means of the goods that are made, 32% of them are made in China. Do you know what the number is for the United States of America? 18%. That means China makes more stuff, and I'm talking about the pharmaceuticals that we put into the bodies of our children, some of the important weapon systems of the future, the computer chips. We've got to make more of our own stuff in the United States of America, and the way to do that is to lower regulations, lower energy costs for American businesses, and to rebuild the great American middle class. And the final point I'll make about this, and this is where President Trump gets the most criticism, but it's also where President Trump is the most right. If you are a business and you rely on foreign slave labor at $3 a day, the only way to rebuild American manufacturing is to say, if you want to bring that product made by slave labor back into the United States of America, you're going to pay a big fat tariff before you get it back into our country. And my message to Pennsylvanians, don't trust anybody, especially Kamala Harris. When she tells you she's going to rebuild American manufacturing without forcing the Chinese to pay a tariff, there is no way to do it unless you're fighting hard against the people who are stealing our jobs and stealing our manufacturing industries. You got to do it. And if you're not doing it, you're not serious about rebuilding the American middle class. Next question.
Hi, JD. Adam Bobeski for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. You've raised a lot of concerns about election security and integrity, and I wanted to know if you think it cuts both ways. If you're leading in the popular vote, or the vote nationally, after election week, do you think that Kamala Harris should concede if she has similar concerns?
Well, look, I think whoever wins this election, and it's going to be Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, You know, we certainly expect to have a good election. We certainly expect to be congratulating the winner, and we certainly expect that that winner is going to be us. But look, you can say on the one hand you don't think big tech should be interfering in an election, while at the same time respecting the results of the election. I don't think there's any inconsistency in that. I'm going to keep on saying that American citizens have the right to be heard. American citizens have the right to have every legal ballot count. We're going to keep on working on legislation when we're in office, like the SAVE Act, which makes it harder for illegal aliens to vote in American elections. And I think, like most people in our country, whether they agree or disagree with me on any given issue, can admit that, you know, we can have faith in the 2024 election, and I do have faith in the 2024 election, while accepting that we can do a hell of a lot better at the same time. Both of those thoughts can be held in our heads at the same time, and that's certainly true, I think, for a majority of the residents of this Commonwealth. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ryan Dito. I'm with the Pittsburgh Tribune-Review. You talked a little bit about housing cost.
Sure.
Kind of wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on kind of issues on dealing with the supply of housing. I know that here in Pittsburgh we have, you know, just like everywhere, kind of a bad supply of housing. How do we boost that, and how do we address that issue?
Yes, sir. Look, an important question. And look, we got to talk about the supply issue and the demand issue. So you asked about supply, so I'll start there. We don't make enough houses. There's not a high enough supply of houses in the United States of America. What does that mean? Lower energy costs to make it easier to build. That's why we say drill, baby, drill is maybe the most important part of lowering housing costs. You got to get mortgage rates lower again so that people can afford to buy a home when they find a home that they like. And the third thing is you've got to end all of these ridiculous regulations that make it harder for people to build homes in the United States of America. We're the proudest building country in the world. We got to get back to that very proud tradition. But we also got to be honest. If you build 5 million new homes over the next 3 years, but you import 25 million illegal aliens, the price of housing is going to go up. Because when American homes don't go to American citizens, that is one of the biggest drivers of the increase in housing costs. So here's the simple Donald Trump plan to reduce housing costs for American citizens. Build more American homes, but make sure they go to American citizens, not people who don't have the legal right to be here. Thank you. We'll do just a couple more.
Bob with KDKA TV News. Trump references the enemy from within. Would a Trump administration use the military to go after people who oppose Donald Trump?
Oh, of course not. Of course not. Look, if you go back to the summer, look, ma'am, I'm glad you asked the question because I think it's so preposterous. First of all, the biggest problem that we have in this country right now is that because of Kamala Harris, people can't afford groceries and housing. We've got to fix that problem. That's why Donald Trump and I are running to redeliver prosperity for the American people. The second biggest problem we have in the United States of America is that we've got 25 million illegal aliens, many of them who have committed violent crimes who shouldn't be in the United States to begin with. And by the way, those are the issues that Pennsylvanians care the most about. When you go out and talk to them, you look at the polls, we ought to be talking about how to redeliver peace and prosperity for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That's what President Trump and I are focused on. But look, the media picks up on this question when he makes this observation that we've also got to have law and order in our own country too, because this is an important issue. Do we remember? The media loves to talk about January the 6th, and of course, January the 6th of 2021, if you were violent, if you committed acts of violence, then you should be prosecuted for them. Everybody believes that. But what they don't like to talk about is just a few months prior when $13 billion of damage and 20 lives were lost in the mass riots across this country in the summer of 2020. And what President Trump has said quite directly is that look, if that ever happens again, if you ever have people who think that they can not just exercise their First Amendment right, but loot and riot and burn down American cities, we are going to go after them, and we're going to go after them hard. We do not tolerate that crap in the United States of America.
Hi, Kaylee Gunderson, WTAE Channel 4 in Pittsburgh. I know you've touched on election integrity, but I want to ask specifically about mail-in voting. How do you reconcile former President Donald Trump and members of the Republican Party previously casting doubt on integrity of mail-in voting when now many in the Republican Party and yourself are encouraging supporters to vote by mail?
So let me say two things about that. First of all, as I said earlier, I don't love that we've gotten away from just having an election day where everybody casts the same ballot, everybody casts it on the same day. But again, the people of Pennsylvania, through their elected legislatures, through the governor, have changed how this works. And so I'm not saying that I prefer mail-in voting. I'm saying that mail-in voting is now here, so let's deal with that reality and make sure our voices count just as much as the other side. That's all that we're saying here. Now, by the way, a number of international organizations, a number of folks have talked about the fact that mail-in voting can sometimes introduce problems, and we're fighting every single day to make sure those problems don't happen in Pennsylvania or anywhere else in our country. And here are the things that you've got to do. You've got to make sure that mail-in votes are have the proper signature matching. You got to make sure that mail-in votes are properly tracked to a real registered voter. There are all of these things that we can do, and the Republican Party is fighting every single day, not just for our own voters, but for everybody, because we want every legal ballot to cast and count, but we only want the legal ballots to count, not the illegal ballots. And so we've got the election integrity efforts underway to make sure that whether you're voting by mail, whether you're voting early, or whether you're voting in person, that your ballot is going to count. So my message again to everybody is get out there and vote, because it's the only way that we're going to send Kamala Harris back to San Francisco where she belongs. So on that note, because we're going to have to hit the road here, and I'm very excited. My friends, my cousin, who's more like a little sister to me, she's getting married tomorrow. So let's give her a round of applause. We'll tell her that the people. I'll tell my cousin Bonnie Rose, she's named after my mamaw. I'll tell Bonnie Rose that the thoughts, the prayers, and the blessings and the good wishes of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania go with her on this new journey. But I want to tell you a story, and I've got so many stories because I've learned so much about our country over the last few weeks. I mean, people always ask me how I'm doing, and I appreciate you asking, but the answer is I'm doing as good as a person possibly could. Because aside from being married to my beautiful wife and being a father to our 3 kids, the greatest honor of my entire life is to stand up here and ask all of you to make me your next Vice President of the United States. It is a cool thing. It is a great honor. But I also, one of the things that happens, of course, is you get to meet a lot of people. And there's a woman that I met a few weeks ago, as a matter of fact, and she was just in one of these photo lines. You take photos with people before, and she was talking to me about how she was really hurting because she couldn't afford groceries anymore. And she was talking about the things they cut back on, the things they like to have in their house, but they don't have anymore because they've got to make ends meet, and they've got to make do with what they have. And she spent about 30 seconds telling me about how she was struggling to buy groceries. And then she spent the next 3 minutes telling me that she prays for my family every day. She knew the 3 names of our beautiful kids, that she prays for each one of them by name every single day. And she spent more time asking me how I was than talking about her problems, even though I'm the one who gets to run for vice president, and she's worried about paying her bills. And I've met so many people like that. And you know what it's taught me? It's taught me that we have a generosity of spirit among our people that I wasn't fully aware of until I accepted this incredible honor. And I think that when you realize how great the people of the United States of America are, And how beautiful of a country we have. I was in Williamsport, Pennsylvania just yesterday, I believe, and we get off the plane, and there's this mountain by the airport that is red and yellow and orange and green because, of course, Pennsylvania is really beautiful, but especially this time of year. And we've got the best natural resources. I mean, the Chinese and the Russians would literally kill for, sometimes they have, for the natural resources that we have just right here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And I realize that as frustrated as sometimes we get, and certainly as frustrated as I get, with the failure of Kamala Harris's leadership, we've got to remember, my friends, that the only thing that is truly broken about the United States of America is the failed leadership in Washington, D.C. So over the next 19 days, when you're feeling tired or you're sick of talking about the election, I want you to remember that woman who is working hard to elect Donald Trump and is worried that if he's not elected president, she's going to go another 4 years where she's not able to afford her groceries. I want you to remember a kid like me where sometimes my mamaw wouldn't turn on the heat at night if times were especially tight. We'd throw a few extra blankets on and just make do. And I'd like you to remember that the basic principle that every American citizen deserves to have safe communities. Every American citizen deserves to turn on the heat during the middle of a cold winter night. Every American citizen, so long as they work hard and play by the rules, ought to be able to afford the groceries that they want for themselves and their families, and that is only going to happen if we get Donald J. Trump back in the White House. So let's go fight for it. Let's go earn it. Let's go make Donald Trump the next president, and we're going to do it together. God bless you guys, and thank you for everything that you're doing. We love you.
Thank you for tuning in. Double tap your screen. And okay, so we're gonna end the live show right here. And I will be back for sure. Okay, instead of looking for perfection, seek for consistency. Fancy. That's it for. All right, God bless you. Have a wonderful night. See you in like 1 hour or 2 hours. Or maybe farther than that. All right. God bless America. God bless you. Let's get it.